Asian horror, man.
Nggak ada apa-apa.
Gede banget rumahnya. Sini kok banyak banget ya, kuburan anak kecil.
Impetigore is directed by Joko Anwar, the director of Satan's Slaves, a movie that I have not seen, but now that I've seen this, absolutely need to. It tells the story of Maya, a girl who returns to her ancestral village with her friend Dini, enticed by the possible promise of an inheritance, and what she doesn't know is that her village is cursed by something that her family did, and everyone who lives in the village wants her dead. So like I said, I have not seen Satan's Slaves. I know it's on Shudder, and I've heard amazing things about it, and given that this was the newest Shudder exclusive, I decided to check it out. I didn't have a lot going on yesterday. And since this month is lacking in good horror content, I figured I would just check out whatever's new. And boy am I glad I did, because Impetigore was fucking awesome. Joko Anwar has superb mastery of tension, and that's pretty much on display from the first scene. The cold open of this movie is one of the best I've seen from any horror film in a long time. Just Maya alone at her toll booth operator job encountering a strange man. It's this perfect bit of real-world horror that stems entirely from a sense of isolation, and that sense of isolation is the perfect summation for this movie, because that's what the entire movie is. That's where all the horror stems from. Placing the two women in a foreign environment full of people who are spiritually and morally different from them. Despite being born there, Maya knows nothing about this place, which is super unhelpful when everyone in said place wants to kill you. Even before they get to the village, though, there's this constant sense of dread lingering around Maya at all times. This sort of black cloud that follows her and makes everything around her feel more sinister than it should be. And a big part of that comes down to this film's cinematography. It's a very naturally lit film, but even so, the lighting still manages to make it all feel sinister. The locations are constantly dingy and decaying. There's this overwhelming sense of dread and death that comes through the color palette. And the entire atmosphere of the film is raised even more by the film's consistently shifting point of view. For a good chunk of the movie, the camera work is static and passive, and then suddenly, without any warning, will go from a very still, static shot to suddenly the camera moving around as though it's someone's point of view, and it makes you feel really uncomfortable because it makes you feel as though there's another presence in the scene with you that you didn't know about. And it leaves you wondering whether everything you've been watching has been from your own perspective or from the perspective of some unseen third party in the same vein as Pyewacket. The script and acting are both really damn good here too. Tara Basro as Maya and Marissa Anita as Dini are both really excellent and have amazing chemistry together. The banter between the two of them is so lightning fast and snappy that it feels incredibly natural, as though these two have really been friends for years. And the humanity that the actors bring to these characters is really the cornerstone of this movie, with a ton of well-fleshed-out, understandable characters in spite of the fact of how scary they are. There's a certain horror to this movie that stems from how understandable the characters' actions are. It's an exploration of how our lives are inevitably fucked up by the mistakes of our parents and their parents before them, and so on and so on. And it shows you some of the horrifying depths that human beings can sink to purely out of desperation. And you get it, despite how ugly it is to recognize it. I could go on and on about all the other stuff this movie does well, from its incredible sound design that leaves you constantly questioning whether or not the things you're hearing are diegetic, which just makes it all a lot more unsettling. And while this movie does have some negatives, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't actually affect the overall experience of watching it. Its reliance on expository flashbacks is an unnecessary one, especially the long-form explanation that you get in the third act, which just kind of feels both clunky and rushed, and honestly, pretty unnecessary since you've already been given a good chunk of the backstory by that point. It's also got this predictable but extremely cheesy epilogue that I honestly could have done without. It's set up early on and makes sense, but I feel as though the movie could have ended on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre homage that it originally does end on, and it would have been better for it. Still, like I said, those are all minor things in a movie that excels far beyond them. I'm gonna say that Impetigore is a must-see, and I haven't been this impressed with a new Asian horror flick since The Wailing or Train to Busan. I really can't wait to check out Satan's Slaves now, because if it's anything like this movie, I'm gonna love it. Impetigore is currently streaming on Shudder. If any of you are interested in checking it out, I would highly recommend it. And as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it very much. If you like this channel and you want to see more, click down there. Like, comment, subscribe. There's a Patreon link down in the description if you want to donate to this channel, help us grow, make new, better quality content for you all to enjoy. You could be like all these cool people right here and check out any of the cool new rewards we're offering, anything from access to my private Discord server where we sit and talk about horror movies, to gifts sent right to your door once a month. Once, you know, we can mail things out of the country again. If any of that interests you, please consider donating. I would really appreciate it. Stay tuned because this is one of the last times you're going to see this location. I'm going to be moving within the next week, so things are going to be a little hectic for a bit. So thank you again, guys. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all very soon.
Kesalahan yang harus aku hapus.